Just drove about 45 minutes south from where I live to what was once a golf course. It looks like it's kind of, I don't know if it's going back to the bank or what, a little bit overgrown. I'm not going to say the name of the golf course, but they've got a couple of tractors for sale. The first one here is what's called a Massey Ferguson 20, which is about a 50 horse diesel tractor. It's got a little 3-cylinder Perkins diesel in it. I had one of these once before, back in when we lived in Snowflake. I completely rebuilt the engine in it, and so I'm somewhat familiar with them. The other one's a Ford. He wants quite a bit of money for the other one, but this one, the power steering went out, but supposedly it still runs perfectly. It's got a bunch of hours on it. It looks like it's got right around 9,000 hours on it. But supposedly it was really well maintained until the power steering went out, so I'm thinking real seriously about buying that one and maybe just setting it up on the hill until I have time to deal with it, if the price is right. I'd buy both of them if the price is right, but more than anything, I need a tractor to power my wood chipper. We got lots of wood that's going to need to be chipped in the next little while, and I just want to have a tractor on standby. Again, if the price is right, I'm going to take this thing home. Supposedly it runs, the starter went out and the power steering went out, but other than that, they would push start it. So we'll see how this goes. Sure. It is 9:30 at night. This is the second night this week that we are up here in the camp trailer. Cedar and Cheyenne are gone to girls camp, so I'm playing Mr. Mom. The sun is barely going down. I was able to get the door cut in. I was able to get a little bit done. For the most part, I've been watching these kids. They've blown out one tire on the little 84-wheeler, but they're having a heck of a time, and they love being up here. Our plan was to stay just one night, but Reed just asked if we could stay until Saturday, so I don't know. We'll see how this goes. I got my first dirt bike when I was about 11 or 12 years old. My parents allowed me to work for one of my scout leaders for most of the summer to earn this dirt bike. I think I paid around $50 for it. It was a 1971 Suzuki DT175. For a time, my wife's father lived in Yuma, Arizona, and by default, her family spent a tremendous amount of time on 3-wheelers and 4-wheelers at the sand dunes. One of the first times I can remember meeting my wife was when my girlfriend at the time was riding on the back of a 1983 250R 3-wheeler, and I watched Cedar proceed to jump that 250R with my girlfriend at the time on the back with her. I very quickly told my girlfriend to get off the back of the 3-wheeler with that crazy girl. Little did I know that that crazy girl on the 1983 250R would be the mother of my children. Our oldest daughter, Sage, was involved in a pretty extreme ATV accident when she was about 12 or 13 years old. We were living in Snowflake at the time, and she was hanging out with a friend whose father had a large 4-wheel drive 4-wheeler. Her and 2 other friends were out running up and down the farm roads on this large 4-wheeler when one of the friends lost control of the 4-wheeler, hit a concrete culvert, throwing all of them from the 4-wheeler, causing Sage to hit her head on a railroad tie that was a fence post. This caused Sage to get a skull fracture, a broken neck, lacerated liver, and brain trauma from the experience. None of the girls had helmets on. One of the other girls ended up with an orbital fracture, and the driver, the most inexperienced of all three of them, ended up with a broken wrist. Sage had to be flown by helicopter from Snowflake, Arizona to Flagstaff, Arizona. This experience caused me to sell off all of our four-wheelers. I decided watching one of my children nearly die in a four-wheeler was just too much. But all of our kids have grown up riding four-wheelers. The reason Sage was involved in the accident was because the girl that was the least experienced was driving. She'd spent very little time riding ATVs. We live in a place that will require the use of ATVs forever. There are parts of my property that I cannot get to on foot. I've tried. Slow! Slow! You're going too fast. Slow it down, son.
Feels ready.
If I desire to get to know the rest of my property in the way that I do, we will use four-wheelers constantly. My philosophy with my kids is they need to have enough experience where they know how to control what's happening and avoid those situations like Sage had. Our oldest son, Rhett, has 2 dirt bikes right now. It is a rule that he wears his helmet whenever he's on the dirt bike. He's constantly trying to understand and push his own limits. He's already received about a dozen stitches because of this decision to push his limits, so he is supposed to wear a helmet when he's on the dirt bike. Callie and Reed are just learning how to ride their little 80 four-wheeler. As they start to get more experienced, as they start to also push the limits, they will be required to wear helmets as well. About 8 years ago, myself and my father were on a long drive together, and we had an opportunity to talk about different things. One of the topics that came up was the decisions that I made in my youth. My dad asked me what he could have done different to influence some of these decisions and possibly change the outcome. My answer to him was nothing. I don't believe that there was anything that he could have done that would have caused me to react differently to some of these situations that I was in. I told him that sometimes you just have to touch the hot stove. thank goodness I lived through it to tell the tale. We've done our best to raise our kids properly. Our kids know the difference between right and wrong. Does this mean they won't make mistakes? Does this mean that they won't get hurt along the way? The answer is no. There's only so much as a father and a parent that I can do. Sometimes you just have to let your kids learn the hard way. I would never, by any means, sit back and let my kids get hurt or injured if there was a way to prevent it. But I'm also okay with letting Callie slowly run the four-wheeler into the fence and have a little panic attack and get a little worked up as she figures out how to navigate this new piece of equipment. Sometimes experience is the best teacher. I'm done working for today. It's 9 o'clock at night. I'm about to head back into town. I've got everything hung. Everything is done being hung that needs to be hung. I'm now on to taping and texturing. I got the pantry taped. It felt good to start taping again. On Monday, I'm going to start using my buddy Rod's stationary banjo is what I call it. He gave it to me a couple months ago, and I've been waiting to get to the downstairs to use it. Because I don't have the angles that I did upstairs, I feel like the downstairs should go way faster, and the ceiling height is not as high, so I should be able to breeze through it, I'm hoping anyway. But the idea behind the stationary banjo is I can pull out the tape that's already got mud on it, and I can do it at a lot faster pace than laying the mud down before and then taping it the way I've done it thus far. So I'm hoping this is a way to get everything taped off in a really fast time. Our objective is to get the pantry, the downstairs bedroom, and the downstairs bathroom finished ASAP, and it will be obvious why later, but we're trying to get that done as fast as we can. The objective is to be living full-time up here, whether we're in the camp trailer or partially in the house by the end of this month. And so in order to do that, we need to get this downstairs bedroom done, and I really need to get that bathroom pretty functional. And so my focus is going to be on that, but I do want to get everything taped and textured first. So anyway, I still haven't been able to get the drywall contractor up here, but I'm going to reach out to him again like I do every week and see what happens, but I'm not banking on him being up here. But it was I'm so glad that I'm done hanging drywall. That's a whole different kind of physical work that I'm glad I'm not going to have to do again for a while. So anyway, we'll see how it goes Monday using this stationary banjo, and we'll see how fast I can get this downstairs done.